What sexual thing you and your SO do together that you are fairly sure no one else does? NSW. We pretend to be dinosaurs. And not just any dinosaurs. We have specific species and personalities. It's not during sex, but before foreplay we start kissing and all of a sudden he's making screeching noises and I'm pretending my arms can't reach his face and we are fighting to the death. It's funny and we just giggle and laugh and wrestle naked until we both get very turned on. An ex of mine broke her spine when she was a teenager. Luckily she had full movement but had a side effect. On her lower back right where back dimples go above her butt was really sensitive and would tingle a lot. If you rubbed that spot she would go insane, get wet, moan, the works. She said after the back break it formed a line from that spot on her back to her clit and would tingle like mad. She said when she was younger she would masturbate rubbing that spot. Be right back, need to break my girlfriend's back. Few years back, I would slap my dong against the ex's face forehead area. She would say I object, and I would yell as loudly as possible overruled. This became an ongoing thing. The roommates at the time would be like, WTF are you guys doing in there? We called it the gavel. Holy freaking crap, that is hilarious. The penguin. Me and my ex went to an aquarium and saw the penguin exhibit. Well, that day the penguins were just freaking away and we saw that they initiated it by the male walking up behind the female and hitting her with his flippers until she laid down. It was hilarious. After that I would occasionally walk up behind my ex and pretend I was hitting her with flippers as a joking sign I wanted sexy times. Oh my god. So my fiance and I were bombed one night and decided we should watch some animals boning on YouTube. Sounded like a good idea at the time. We watched the penguins going at it at least 60 times that night. Now we make the high-pitched AAAAH sound to let each other know it's on. God forbid the four of us are ever at the same bar on day. It would be mayhem. One time, my girlfriend and I were in the middle of some foreplay and she started talking dirty to me. I am horrible at dirty talk, but I tried. At one point, she said, "And then what are you going to do to me?" I, for some bizarre reason, responded, "I'm gonna slip you the ol' stink weasel." I am not one of those guys that names his penis, but that one stuck. 2 years later and she still says things like, "Does the stink weasel want to come out and play?" My ex and I created a game called Nake and Bake. You make shake and bake in the kitchen naked and then put it in the oven for 45 minutes to cook. You go have sex until the timer goes off then go eat. This is exactly like a game we play, except we use minute rice. We banged in a Sears changing room. Nobody goes to Sears. My girlfriend does this hilarious bird of paradise dance pre and or post sex. She copied the Nature Channel during our first hookup and it stuck. It's not sexy per se, but it lets me know that she's in the mood and cracks me up. Call her dessert names in public, but not honey bun or sweetie pie, as unendearing as possible. Egg, bundt cake, streuselkuchen, upside down cake, shoofly pie, endlessly amusing. Streuselkuchen sounds like it could actually be an endearment. When we finish we look at our cat sitting on the end of the bed and ask for a score. Bastards never give us more than a 7.5. One time an ex and I were filming ourselves while having sex, and halfway through I totally Patrick Bateman that crap and looked directly at the camera and started flexing, looking badass. Yeah you like that, yeah you freaking stud, oh frick you're pointing at the camera, flexing more, for like 5-10 minutes. We were doggy style so she had no freaking clue. Afterwards we rewatched it and when it happened we both just lost it. One time I fell asleep before my boyfriend got home. I was sleeping face down, so he basically used my exposed butt as a masturbation tool. Kind of like fricking but with my butt cheeks. I was a little bummed he didn't wake me up for sex, but on the other hand, I thought it was really hot. Also, I've made it clear to him that he's welcome to perform sex acts on me in my sleep. I like sleepy just waking up being woken up by sex. Just noting. I was a little bummed. Yes, you were. After I'm done giving him a blowjob, I lay my head on his thigh and ask his dong questions. He answers 1 flex for yes and 2 flexes for no. His dong and I are besties. Not a regular thing, but the missus and I once dressed up as Asterix and Obelix one Halloween. She was Asterix because she's small and blonde. I was Obelix because I'm big and tall. We went out, got drunk and then came home and had crazy monkey sex on the stairs while still dressed as two male French cartoon characters. Reasonably certain no one's done that before. We pretend the person on top is flying by having sex while the person on top sticks their arms and legs out to the side without touching the bed. Also, while doing this we're both going I. This just sounds delightful. My wife likes me to get glazed donuts and watch me eat some of them while sucking my dong. We have also played ring toss with them, which started as a joke, but then she discovered that an icing flavored dong was pretty amazing and it just turned her on even more. So she would rub it on my dong or take a bite of the donut and then continue the BJ. It was awkward at first, but I have to admit it probably the best BJ I've ever had. Don't know why it turns her on so much, but donuts and an amazing BJ at the same time is pretty much a win-win for me. My ex used to pump his arms while in doggy style position. I looked back once as he was doing this and absolutely lost myself in laughter. He said he did it to make himself go faster. Not my wife, but I used to have a girlfriend that had an odd habit that I enjoyed. When we'd watch a movie in my apartment, she liked to lay her head in my lap and keep my dong in her mouth. Even if we just had sex, she won't actively blow me. Just keep it in there soft and roll it around like a jawbreaker. Don't get me wrong, eventually it'd get hard and she'd blow till I came. She'd go right back to watching the movie with it in her mouth. She was really a good egg. Confused boners. I give him a handy while talking dirty about random non-sexy subjects, like fish aquariums and such. Not enough to get him off, just enough to keep him hard and conflicted about being aroused. Then I usually blow him. It's fun. My old so and I would get dinner, some sort of alcohol, preferably a few bottles of crappy champagne or tequila, smoke copious amounts of weed, then head to bed. Once we were in bed, she'd have me lay on my back, hands folded up behind my head, real relaxed and naked like. Then she'd take my watch off and put the oversized watch on her wrist, and set the timer. Depending on how bad I had bugged her, the time would range from 10-20 minutes. During that time, I was not allowed to move or touch her back. She could do whatever she wanted. It was the sexiest torture imaginable. If I caved, she'd set the clock over. If I made it the full time, first try, she'd let me have whatever I wanted. So freaking awesome. The 9th of May 2010. Definitely recommend trying. I think I'm dating that girl now. My ex used to always hold my ankles up when he was going to CM. He'd push my legs up so I was folded in half, pound right into my cervix. When he was done, he'd lean down and whisper ole. We zoop one another, meaning we quickly slide a finger up or down the ass crack. Doesn't count unless you say zoop. I think queefs are hilarious, so sometimes when my girlfriend and I have sex, I put her in a position that I know will make her queef. It usually is a sound that would put a world champion farter to shame. Then we both die laughing. My grandfather once told me, "You kids these days, you think you invented the BJ or something. I'm telling you, there's nothing you can think of sexually that me and your granny haven't tried." Boy, your grandmother did crap on our first date you'd be too embarrassed to ask a $20 each for. We have a didgeridoo playlist for sexy time. I'm like 72% sure I'm the only one banging her, if that's what you're asking. She's been freaking Lancel, the Kettle Blacks, and Moonboy for all I know. I am a carpenter. We do it in every room of every house I build. When I picture this in my head, all I can think of is nailed it. After sex, when my husband's dong is flaccid again, and we are laying there peacefully, I grab it and smack his stomach with it while repeatedly saying, "Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself." I laugh for a good 5 minutes and he stares at me with a look of love and concern. Okay, mainly concern. My ex used to grab mine and make it talk to me in a whispery old man voice. When I asked her why the old man voice, she said it was the dying words of my boner. After sex, I give her a high five and say good job. I slap my husband's ass and say good game. During foreplay, we make AAAOOO sounds imitating old Asian men sounding surprised. or every fight scene from Dragon Ball Z. Get into food fights and frick on the table. I put on my robe and wizard hat. Welcome to the club. It started the morning after the first time we had sex. He said, I hope you didn't have any plans today because I'm not letting you leave. I asked, are you going to kill me? He said yes, and we laughed. Then he told me how he'd kill me, and I said sounds great, but I'm going to kill you first. Then we wrestled, which turned into fricking. Now we get turned on when we threaten each other's lives. Sometimes he calls me a good girl and scratches me behind the ears and on the head. Beforehand, it's usually a bunch of commands. Sit, come here, down. Either way, it's fun for me. Had shown a crush of mine the video Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. Hours later we ended up doing stuff in the room and I whispered this is my swamp in her ear before my hands went down her pants. I'm weird person. It's not over till it's over. I've never met a couple that did this, but my ex and I used to do this for giggles and shoots. Whenever we were at a party and someone was hitting on one of us, the other would come over and act like we didn't know each other, then drop the crappiest pickup line we could think of and the other would swoon over it. That's awesome. Go to start doing that. I don't get hit on much, but my GF does if I walk away for 10 seconds. This would be a funny and non-threatening way to tell the dude to get lost. One time my wife and I were going at it. She was on top. Her phone rang and it was a call that had to be answered. So she answered it without getting off of me. So as she was talking to her boss, I started slowly pumping her and her face was great. I knew she loved it, but she had to talk normally. She said, I will email you those performance reports in the morning. Then as she talked the next time she spoke, I really gave her one hard pump. Her face just melted like she wanted to just moan, but also agony because she couldn't. Finally she just covered her mouth and I kept going. The last straw was when I reached and gave her nipples a light twist and tug. Bam. Boss's name. My phone is dying. I will call you in the morning. Goodbye. She hung up and we fricked like teenage rabbits. I had a good laugh as I was doing it, but she loved it. I'm fairly confident this isn't unique to you and you're so. Probably because I see it in P all the time. My ex and I were having sex and he whispered something in my ear. It was totally hot, so I told him to keep talking dirty. Apparently he couldn't think of anything sexy because all he could come up with is I want to make you stuffed shells for dinner. I started laughing too hard for us to go on, and we ended up saying stupid crap like that at one point almost every other time we had sex. That's adorable. The sleazy doorman. Hang one of those pull-up bars from the door frame and have the girl hang from the bar while you go to town from behind or from the front. It's a good workout for her too. Either she's strong as frick or you don't last very long. I like to wrap her in bubble wrap and then strike down with my penis with enough force to pop the bubbles. Really turns us both on. I don't really know what to say to this. I think we can be fairly sure not many are doing this. She rejects me and I silently hold it against her and build up my resentment. Then you add it to the spreadsheet. A while ago my girlfriend and I were going at it with the TV blaring in the background to drown out the sound. At one point she said, CM for me, baby, but what I heard was nom, baby. I stopped and asked her to say that again. I heard her correctly this time and couldn't stop laughing. I had to stop and explain myself, which needless to say, ended the sexy times. But now whenever I'm about to finish, I'll whisper nom, baby. I'll bet my firstborn child that no other couple does that. My ex and I, when we would make out, would randomly just blow sharply into each other's open throats. It was kind of a game and whoever remembered to do it first would win the McClear session, I guess. I don't know how it started, but it was a fun game, especially since I usually did it first and I could always tell when she was going to do it and would pull away. We have a post-sex conference in the bathroom. I've said too much already, but it's pretty freaking cute and it's top secret. I really like laying back after a good frick and having her scratch my balls, sometimes for an hour or so if I'm lucky. It's one of the best feelings I can describe. Yeah, no, outside of the fricking of course. My SO was drunk one night, and as I was getting frisky, she whispered in my ear, "You know what I'm thinking about? That picture of Jesus that used to hang on the wall at my dead grandmother's house. It was so off the wall crazy. We ended up laughing too much to continue. Now when one wants sex and the other doesn't, we just say, I'm thinking about Jesus. You have been visited by the doggo of dandy rides. Like this video and have a dandy day. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.